If there's one thing capable of instantly taking us back to the warm afternoons and sweet childhood memories, it's the taste of a perfectly ripe strawberry. Grandma's garden was always that magical place where strawberries grew juicy and plump, seemingly without any effort. Years later, it's become clear that it wasn't magic, but a symphony of simple, clever secrets conducted with love and a deep understanding of the land. So, here are 20 simple, smart rules from Grandma's Berry Patch Bible, passed down with a smile. Picking the right variety. First things first, it might not seem like a lot, but Grandma started where any successful garden story begins, with the perfect strawberries. You can't just grab any plant, no. Picking the right variety is similar to choosing your champion team captain for your home garden. Here's a common misconception. People think that all strawberries are the same, sweet, red, and ever ready to snack on. But oh no, they're just as diverse as the pantry in Grandma's kitchen. Some varieties are shy, bearing fruits once in late spring and then curling up for months. Then there are the marathon runners, producing berries on and off for months. So, yeah, picking the right one for your climate, soil, and patience level makes a huge difference. With these varieties, a few plants went a long way, bearing fruit repeatedly. No frantic replanting needed mid-season. But picking the right variety is only the start. The Royal Sun Throne. Imagine your strawberry plants lounging like monarchs on a throne of sunshine, basking in golden rays that turn every berry into juicy sweetness. That's the magic of a sun throne for your strawberry patch, a prime, sunny spot in your home garden where your berries reign supreme, rewarding you with more fruit for less effort. Grandma knew this secret all too well. She didn't just toss her strawberries anywhere in her garden. Instead, she crowned them in the sunniest, warmest corner, creating a little kingdom where the berries thrived. Strawberries are sun worshippers, she'd say, pointing to a patch that got sunlight from dawn until mid-afternoon. Strawberries are sun lovers. They are little solar panels that soak up as much sunshine as possible to make sweet, plump fruits. So, by just giving your plants their perfect sunny spot, you can increase your strawberry yield with much less work. Plastic mulch. Now, with the raised beds in place, Grandma had another secret to protect her little berries. Imagine this, a shiny magical blanket spread over your strawberry patch, one that warms the soil, keeps pesky weeds away, and saves you loads of back-breaking labor. Sounds like a gardening hoax, right? Well, meet one of Grandma's best-kept secrets: plastic mulch. This glossy layer of plastic might not look like a lot, but when it comes to growing more juicy strawberries with less work, it's a total game changer. This was more than just making your strawberry patch look neat. It was a secret to micromanaging Mother Nature herself. The plastic would warm the soil like a gentle sunbeam and sternly tell weeds, no entry. This meant less weeding time and healthier strawberries. The mulch also helped conserve moisture, so watering became more about gentle maintenance than a daily chore. Downsides? Absolutely none. This mulch magic would pair perfectly with the next step: efficient watering. The deep root well. Ever wondered how Grandma's strawberry patch thrived so beautifully while others struggled with thirsty, droopy plants? Here's a little secret called the deep root well. Think of it as a cozy underground drinking fountain, just waiting for your thirsty strawberry roots to sip from, making your garden work easier and your berries juicier. A deep root well is a simple, clever garden hack. A dugout hole or a small pit right next to your strawberry plants that's filled with water and nutrients. Why does that work? Well, because roots capable of drinking deep and steadily don't panic during dry spells. They develop stronger and healthier, and that means less wilting, less daily watering, and more consistent berry production. If you live in areas that experience heat and drought during scorching summers, then your strawberry plants could use deep root wells. Don't forget to get the kids involved, just like Grandma would. Of course, even the hardiest royalty needs a feast to become truly bountiful. The kitchen scrap feast. I can remember Grandma's kitchen like it was yesterday. The counter piled with colorful veggie peels, crushed eggshells, coffee grounds, and even yesterday's newspaper. all ready for her kitchen scrap feast that fed her thriving strawberry patch. Put simply, nothing was left in Grandma's kitchen. That was another little secret of hers. The tastiest treats for your strawberry patch come from your kitchen trash. Think of your kitchen scraps as a buffet for your garden. Instead of tossing these goodies into the trash, you toss them into your compost pile or directly around your strawberry plants. Grandma always had one mysterious, slightly fragrant pile at the far end of the yard, right behind the rusting wheelbarrow. That was where the real magic happened. This organic buffet slowly breaks down, feeding earthworms, microbes, and most importantly, feeding the roots of your strawberry plants with essential nutrients. That is the wonderful world of the kitchen scrap feast, a simple, frugal, and eco-friendly way to grow more berries with less work. So, think twice before you toss out that kitchen scrap. Companion planting. How well do you remember Grandma's strawberry patch? Yeah, no one dared mess with her strawberries, but it wasn't just a lonely row of berries. No, it was a garden buzzing with friendly neighbors working together like a well-rehearsed band. Grandma had green friends that helped out in ways she couldn't. That is companion planting at its best. Companion planting is like matchmaking in the garden. Certain plants naturally help each other grow better when planted close together. Grandma swore by this old-school wisdom. Instead of fighting pests and diseases alone, she invited plant friends who had her strawberries' backs, and the results were berry spectacular. Get it? Chives and garlic, thanks to their strong scent, confuse pesky aphids and other bugs. Thyme attracts pollinators like bees, helping strawberries produce more fruit. Bright and cheery marigolds repel nematodes and other unwanted soil dwellers. And the list fortunately goes on. With pests kept at bay and soil settled, Grandma was free to focus on tending to her berries, which brings us to the next secret. Pruning runners. While Grandma always encouraged new life, she was also quite the assassin, a master of absolute focus. Strawberries don't just grow, they spread, sending out runner vines like playful toddlers eager to explore. Grandma knew exactly when to trim or train these runners. So, with her trusty age-old pruners, she'd do a quick snip-snip, severing those ambitious runners. We need all the sugar and energy to go into these first berries. We'll let them have babies later, she'd say, with a smile on her face. That was the art of strategic expansion, the beauty of pruning. By managing runners, you're ensuring energy is focused on fruiting, not sprawling, a smart balance that pays off with bigger harvests and less overgrowth to tend to. So don't be too lenient on your growing berries. Don't spare those pruners. Well, all this growth and fruitfulness can attract some unsavory characters, but Grandma always had a solution. The Midnight Slug Saloon. Every gardener knows the feeling. You tiptoe out at dawn, eager to check on your ripening strawberries, only to find them riddled with slimy, glistening trails and bite marks. The midnight marauders are at it again. Truth is, Grandma was also no stranger to the slimy, silent slugs that fancied a midnight berry blast. However, she never stooped to hand-picking slugs from her legendary strawberry patch. She believed in a more elegant, hands-off solution, one that involved a few pie tins and the cheapest beer from the corner store. Say hello to the Midnight Slug Saloon. Growing strawberries can be tricky business when slugs decide your garden is their midnight snack bar. But what if you could invite those slimy guests to a special spot away from your prized berries? Grandma's Midnight Slug Saloon solution was diabolically clever and, frankly, a source of a couple of giggles. Instead of reaching for harsh chemicals and possibly endangering those little berries, she'd take a few old pie tins, sink them into the soil near the plants, and fill them with a splash of cheap beer. What you're now looking at is a cozy, slug-only lounge created in a quiet corner of her garden away from your strawberries. The next morning, we'd check the saloons to find them filled with inebriated, unfortunate slugs who had indeed had one too many. Well, the slugs were one thing, but the aerial attacks from birds required a more dazzling defense. Literally. The Avian disco ball. The only creatures who loved Grandma's berries almost as much as we did were birds. Those aerial berry bandits are quite smart and near unstoppable once they have your garden in sight. But here's the thing though, they're easily spooked. Grandma knew this, so she leveraged it. Cue in the Avian disco ball. While other gardeners would wage war with scarecrows and nets, Grandma threw them a party. A really confusing one. She'd save her old scratched CDs and tie them to strings hanging from shepherd's hooks throughout the patch. As they spun and twirled in the sunlight, they'd throw fractured rays of light in every direction. No, it's not a wild garden rave, but a clever, shiny garden tool that repels birds. The ultimate strawberry defender. The flashing, unpredictable lights disorients them just enough to seek a simpler meal elsewhere. And it works? Always. All you need is sunlight and a cool summer breeze. So, the next time you see a bird eyeing your ripening berries, don't despair. Turn your strawberry patch into the garden club and let those aerial bandits know that this dazzling soiree is by invitation only. Crop rotation. Grandma's strawberry patch never seemed to get old, even though she had them for years. Every June, like clockwork, it bursts forth with the same evergreen sweetness, as if it hadn't just spent the last 11 months curled up underground. Her secret wasn't any synthetic fertilizers, but a well-kept calendar. Her secret was the ancient, gentle art of crop rotation. Grandma knew that to grow a lot more with less work, you just had to let the soil rest a bit. So every few years, she shifted her strawberry beds to fresh ground. This practice might not seem like much, but its payoff is huge, and here's the science behind it. Rotating crops refreshed the soil, reduced risk of diseases that settle in one spot, and kept nutrients from running out. With fresh soil, strawberries grew stronger and yielded more generous fruit. And speaking of nutrients, Grandma also had a fertilizing routine. Fertilizing with finesse? Grandma wasn't a dump-and-run fertilizer fan. She treated her strawberry patch like guests at a dinner table with a more gentle, thoughtful approach. Not heaps of fertilizer dumped around willy-nilly, but an approach that ensured her plants remained happy, healthy, and bursting with juicy fruit, all while saving her from back-breaking labor. There isn't some elaborate meaning of fertilizing with finesse. It simply means giving strawberries exactly what they need, exactly when they need it, and not a gram more. This approach avoids the pitfalls of overfeeding, resulting in sad, floppy leaves and less fruit, or underfeeding, resulting in slow growth and picky plants, making strawberry care less of a guesswork and more about attention. The timing was key, mostly early spring, and a little after harvest, to help plants build strength for next year. This, combined with your kitchen scrap compost, means a wonderful burst of sweetness with every berry. Winter mulching. While cooler temperatures will do your strawberry patch a world of good, winter can still really harm those little berries. So, before the cold night rolled in, Grandma had to prepare her defense to ensure her strawberries remained unharmed. And that's where winter mulching comes into play. Grandma would tuck her strawberries under a thick blanket of mulch, usually straw or pine needles, and you too can take this page out of Grandma's Strawberry Patch Bible. This insulation keeps roots warm and protects plants from frost damage. Covering the patch like a comforting winter quilt, the mulch preserved plant vitality through winter's hush, ensuring they would revive strong and fruitful after the eventual thaw. This is also where the importance of proper drainage all year round comes in, as it helps prevent fungal diseases that can be exacerbated during wet winter conditions. Frequent picking. If you ever spent a summer at Grandma's, you likely noticed something magical about her strawberry patch. A steady stream of berries appearing like clockwork, ready for picking. No giant, overwhelming harvests. No rotten fruit left behind. Just fresh, juicy strawberries popping up all year long. Well, have you ever wondered what her secret was? Say hello to frequent picking. Unlike other gardeners who wait for every single berry to fully ripen before picking, Grandma, in her infinite gardening wisdom, made it a gentle, morning routine to pick early and as regularly as possible. Strawberry plants are smart to know when their fruit is picked. When ripe berries are harvested regularly, the plant gets the message to keep producing more fruit instead of putting all its energy into ripening the same batch. No need to thank us for the fact. Therefore, by harvesting often, she prevented fruit over-ripening and rotting on the vine. Picking became an every-other-day delight and not some laborious task. I can even remember helping Grandma keep baskets brimming. That brings back some memories. Speaking about memories, the twist and snap technique. Before we began helping Grandma out with frequent harvests, she made sure we absolutely understood her time-tested harvesting technique. There's actually a right way and a wrong way to pick strawberries. The wrong way is the good old yanking and pulling we're all too familiar with. An absolutely clumsy heist that leaves you with squished berries and a scolding from Grandma. The right way? Well, that would be the twist and snap, which was more than just another harvesting technique. It was, in fact, a philosophy, one that required attention to detail and a delicate touch. You'd have to cradle the berry gently in your palm, find the calyx, that's this little stem just above it, and finally, give it a slight twist until it released with a quiet, satisfying pop. If you pull the berry too hard, you risk bruising it, and if you leave too much stem, you're hurting the plant for next time. This gentle method ensured the patch wasn't damaged and could immediately start prepping the next flower, while also keeping the harvested berry unblemished. And Grandma showed this patience in every aspect of her strawberry planting journey, too. The beauty of delayed gratification. When Grandma established new plants from her runners, she had this rule that seemed like cruelty to my sugar-obsessed soul. In just their first year, she'd commit what, at the time, seemed like horticultural treason. Before my naive, disbelieving eyes, she'd pinch off every single beautiful white flower that appeared. But now, all these years later, it's become clear that she wasn't being cruel. She was only teaching me the most important lesson of all in strawberry gardening: delayed gratification. For a new strawberry plant, its first spring is a time of great ambition. It's bursting with energy, eager to show off, and ready to flower, like a puppy jumping around before its bones are strong enough. Letting it flower in its first year seems obvious and rewarding enough. You get a mouthful of berries. However, if it spends all its energy making fruit now, it will be weak and spindly forever. So, by simply sacrificing a small harvest in the first year, you're guaranteeing a massive one for the next 5 years. Seems like a worthy investment, don't you think? Organic pest control. If there was one thing Grandma's garden taught us, it's that you don't need a chemical battalion to protect your strawberries from pesky, no-good pests. Rather than chemical warfare, Grandma enlisted Mother Nature's own trusted pest fighters. That, in all its glory, is organic pest control. This is symbiosis at its finest. Organic pest control isn't just great for your little berries. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet for all the good bugs, birds, and soil friends who help protect your strawberries naturally. When you foster beneficial insects like ladybugs, lacewings, and spiders, they become your garden's own pest patrol, snacking on aphids, mites, and other troublemakers before damage starts. This natural balance means fewer pest issues and less time messing around with traps or sprays. Less pesticide meant less labor, healthier soil, and tastier fruit. Plus, a toxic-free patch was good for family and pollinators alike. Maintaining this garden harmony meant keeping the patch clean, which is a lot easier than it sounds. Tidying up. A tidy garden is a happy garden, that was Grandma's simple mantra. If you wandered through Grandma's garden, you'd notice something special, something that went beyond the joyous sweetness of her strawberries. It was her magical zeal for tidying up. And yes, a little garden sprucing up helps grow more berries with less hassle. Who knew that keeping things neat and tidy could be one of the easiest ways to boost your harvest? Well, Grandma did. Tidying isn't just about making your garden look pretty, although that's quite the bonus. It's about cutting down disease, keeping pests confused, and clearing the stage for your fruitful plants to shine. When dead leaves, fallen fruit, and garden debris pile up, they become playgrounds for pests and disease, like leaving crumbs out for unwanted dinner guests. Cleaning kept problems from snowballing, so her actual workload remained manageable, never overwhelming. With her garden tidied up, it was now time to begin thinking about the future. Propagating from runners. Even though runners got the occasional snip-snip from Grandma, there were times when she'd let some take root in a pot. If you've spent any time in a berry patch, you've witnessed a strawberry patch on the move, a brave green tendril venturing out from the mother plant into the wide world of the garden bed. Rather than buying new plants every year, Grandma propagated new plants herself by rooting runners from her healthiest strawberries. You know, keep those healthy genes going. However, it doesn't just stop there. It never does. Tending these baby plants in nursery beds or pots is the real hassle here, mostly because it requires patience and cycling fresh stock back into raised beds annually. It's a beautiful loop, one that renewed the garden, saved effort, time, and money, and built a sense of continuity rooted deeply in the soil of family tradition. The neighborhood variety swap. Although Grandma spent time picking just the right variety to put into the ground, she still knew no single variety could be everything. Yep, she believed in a diverse kingdom, a kingdom made possible thanks to the neighborhood variety swap. Grandma's patch could never be a monocrop. She grew up with 3 different kinds, each with a purpose. She had her early June bearers, her steady, ever-bearing types, and a few alpine strawberries for late-season treats. A catalog like this just couldn't be bought right off the counter, no. She acquired them through the neighborhood berry swap, a tradition that's been lost to time. This diversity did more than ensure a longer harvest season and genetic strength. It also strengthened the bonds in the community. The gentle summer rain. On those blistering summer afternoons when Grandma can feel the harsh sun rays even from the comfort of the sofa, when the leaves looked wilted despite the deep root well, Grandma had just the tool. It was an old watering can, its paint chipped and faded. And with this watering can, she'd grace her juicy berries with a gentle summer rain. It was a quick, soothing task that cooled the plants, and Grandma found it quite relaxing. It was the kind of ritual that got everyone involved. The kids gathered round as Grandma told stories and gently watered the berry patch. Even the rusted, timeless watering can in Grandma's shed had its purpose, providing a minor, slow-release source of iron, a vital micronutrient for plant growth. We've talked about picking the perfect varieties, mulching, preparing a royal sun throne, snips and soaks, and so on, but the real secret, the one that's unintentionally woven through every other step on this list, was love. It was the joy of discovering the first red berry. It was the pride in serving a bowl of them, still warm from the sun after dinner. It was appreciating the little things. And this was the real reason it was never a chore for her. That's the greatest lesson from Grandma's patch. So tell us, how did your grandma grow her strawberries? Are there any of these you'd want to try out in your home garden? Like and hit that subscribe button if you picked up a thing or two.